Light and fluffy creme de leche whipped cream, supporting a warm, gooey fudge brownie, freshly roasted coffee bean ice cream, and hot fudge sauce melting it all together is an ultra-indulgent treat that is a real crowd pleaser. Gooey fudge white chocolate brown butter blondie on dulce de leche whipped cream and topped with coffee bean ice cream and hot butterscotch is another tasty treat, but the best is a combination of both. Gooey fudge black and white brownie uses the two brownie batters to create a marbled effect. The same marbled effect can be created in the ice cream by swirling the coffee bean ice cream with chocolate ice cream. All the different flavors, textures, and temperatures work together to create a messy yet sophisticated plated presentation. Hot fudge sundaes are ultra indulgent and should be consumed in moderation. But we can also make our treats with all natural and whole ingredients to make them slightly more nutritious. I have a few other excuses too, like it is a special occasion. Hot fudge sauce is the ultimate sauce to pour over ice cream because it helps to temper the ice cream as the sauce cools down and the sauce thickens into fudge, but is not something you make ahead of time because it is best served as it is cooling down. Melt 50 grams of butter in a small saucepan and whisk in 50 grams of cane sugar, 10 grams of cocoa powder, and 50 grams of high-fat cream until smooth. Simmer for about 30 seconds to further combine the ingredients, but don't stop mixing or the sauce will burn to the bottom of the pan. You can reheat the leftover fudge sauce, but the sauce only takes a few minutes to make, so don't make extra to heat up later. Pour the hot fudge sauce into a mason jar and keep warm until ready to use. Butterscotch is a very easy to make caramel sauce. Melt 50 grams of butter and add 50 grams of brown sugar and 50 grams of high-fat cream to a saucepan. Allow the sauce to simmer for a minute or two to melt the sugar into the cream, but the sauce does not need to be reduced and will burn if the sauce is boiled for too long. Pour the hot sauce into a mason jar and keep warm until ready to use. The sauce can be reheated later, but the sauce is best consumed hot just after it is made or served cold. There are lots of different formulas to make chocolate ice cream. This recipe is like a cooked chocolate pudding. Add 4 large egg yolks to a mixing bowl and mix in 60 grams of Demerara style brown sugar, 200 grams whole milk, and 200 grams of high-fat cream until combined. Transfer the egg mixture to a large Ziploc style freezer bag to cook the custard in. Drape the bag inside a wide-mouth mason jar and use a jar filling funnel to make it easier to fill the bag. Make sure the seal on the bag is closed airtight and cook the custard in a heated water bath for 1 hour at 85 degrees Celsius or 185 degrees Fahrenheit. Strain the custard while it is still hot and work quickly because the custard's temperature needs to be above the temperature of the melting point of chocolate. Chop up 100 grams of a good quality semi-sweet chocolate bar and add it to a mixing bowl. Pour the hot custard over top of the chocolate to melt it. Gently mix the chocolate into the custard until completely combined. If the custard is not hot enough and the chocolate seizes up on you, place the mixing bowl on top of a pot of hot water to finish combining the ingredients. If the chocolate is not melted into the custard before it is frozen, the chocolate ice cream will turn out granular and have a strange color. Transfer the mixture to a container and allow the custard to cool completely in the refrigerator. When it is time to churn the final ice cream, chill down the bowl of an ice cream machine, and when the bowl is frosty, turn on the paddles and add the custard. The ice cream is ready when it is coming away from the sides of the bowl and is collecting on the paddles. Pack the ice cream into a freezer-safe container and place the ice cream in the freezer to harden. To make coffee bean ice cream, freshly roasted coffee beans create the best flavor. I am using 60 grams of freshly roasted Arabica beans from Colombia for a 500 milliliter batch of ice cream. which is at least the equivalent caffeine dose of 2 shots of espresso. When I use coffee beans as an ingredient in ice cream, I choose a lighter roast. You want to extract the flavor of the bean, not make filtered coffee, so choose a coarser grind to make it easier to filter the grinds out, but still grind the beans fine enough to extract the bean's flavor, and set the grinds aside. Scale 4 large egg yolks into a mixing bowl and mix in 60 grams of Demerara style brown sugar, 200 grams of whole milk, and 200 grams of high-fat cream. Mix them together to combine and transfer the mixture to a large freezer bag. Drape the bag inside a wide-mouthed mason jar and use a jar filling funnel to make it easier to fill the bag. Mix in the coffee grinds just before you cook the custard. The time the grinds spend in liquid changes the coffee flavor. Essentially, the coffee is brewed in the freezer bag, so if you want the more intense, very powerful, bitter, earthy flavors to come forward, leave the grinds in the bag longer. Make sure the seal on the bag is closed and cook the custard in a heated water bath for 1 hour at 85 degrees Celsius or 185 degrees Fahrenheit. Sous vide is an excellent way to cook lots of different flavored custards quickly with less chance of overcooking the eggs. Chill the custard for a few minutes in an ice bath and strain out the coarsely ground coffee beans. After the lengthy cooking and cooling times, the smaller remaining grinds dissolve into the cream to create a cookies and cream-like texture with a very bright roasted coffee bean flavor. Place the custard to mature in the refrigerator overnight before using. When it is time to churn the custard, chill down the bowl of an ice cream machine, and when the bowl is frosty, turn on the paddles and add the custard. Freezing the ice cream in small batches works better because the faster you freeze the custard, the less chance ice crystals will form. The ice cream is ready when it is coming away from the sides of the bowl, is collecting on the paddles, and looks like soft serve ice cream. Pack the ice cream into freezer-safe containers and place the ice cream in the freezer to harden. For an excellent mocha flavor, swirl equal amounts of coffee bean ice cream into chocolate ice cream, being careful not to overmix them. The 125 milliliter mason jars, or 3 to 4 ounces of ice cream, is about the right portion size for a rich and caffeine-laced ice cream like this one. This is how to make 3 different flavors of gooey fudge brownies in one pan. Make double chocolate and brown butter white chocolate, then make black and white brownies by layering them together. The main difference between a brownie and a blondie is the type of chocolate used. Scale 60 grams dark chocolate and 60 grams white chocolate into separate bowls and set the bowls aside. Brown 30 grams of butter in a saucepan for the blondie batter, and melt 30 grams of butter in a microwave for the brownie batter. In 2 separate mixing bowls, scale 75 grams turbinado sugar, 1 whole egg, and 5 milliliters of vanilla extract into each bowl. And scale 60 grams of whole wheat flour into a small jar for the blondie, and scale 50 grams of whole wheat flour and 10 grams of cocoa powder into another jar for the brownie. When the butter in the saucepan has browned, pour it over the white chocolate, and when the butter in the microwave has melted, pour it over the dark chocolate. Let the butter melt the chocolate for a few minutes without stirring and set the bowls aside. Mix the egg into the sugar and add the melted chocolate. If the butter does not melt the chocolate, place the bowl over top of a pot of hot water for a few minutes until it does melt. Mix in the melted chocolate and fold in the dry ingredients until just combined. Do not overmix the batter. I am using a silicone pan, so I don't have to prepare the pan to release the brownies after cooking. But if I am using a traditional metal pan, the brownies will not release themselves from the pan without the pans being coated in butter and dusted with flour. Fill the baking pan with batter and bake in a 177 degrees Celsius or 350 degree Fahrenheit oven for 20 minutes. Transfer the baked brownies to a cooling rack and let cool down for a few minutes, but serve warm. The silicone baking pan makes the fudge brownies easy to release. Spelt is an ancient wheat grain that has grown close to where I live. 100% stone ground organic spelt flour is very delicious and easy to digest. The wheat berries stay fresher longer whole, so being able to buy local and fresh grains and grind them as needed is a real treat for someone that likes artisan baked goods. I use a Como Mio grain mill and set the stones at the finest setting. Grinding the flour fine makes the flour easier to bake with. I use a number 60 fine mesh drum sieve and store the finished 100% stone ground organic spelt flour in an airtight container until I'm ready to use it.